Welcome in if you are a first time viewer. Welcome back if you're a returning viewer. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscribes, and to those of you who have booked a personal reading with me. Please keep in mind that these are general messages, so do not take them personally. Take the messages that resonate and leave the rest behind. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can find that information in the description box below. Happy 5-5 portal, guys. Today is May 5th. This energy is bringing in massive changes, right? Major changes and transformations happening in this energy, right? Five is the number that represents change. It represents challenges. It represents conflict, right? It also represents resistance, right? Also, yesterday, Pluto, which is the planet of major transformation, death and rebirth, also known as the Lord of the Underworld, went into retrograde, right? So it is going into retrograde for 5 months, right? 555. Look up that number and see what it means for you if you feel so inclined, right? But this energy is going to challenge you to reflect inward and to choose your soul growth over your comfort, right? This is a space of deep psychological excavation, right? Which is going to encourage you to let go of attachments that provide a false sense of security to acknowledge the true desires of your soul. This will reveal what has been hidden, buried, or repressed so that it can be transmuted and alchemized, right? We are being asked to deepen our inner work and engage in more emotional and psychological self exploration. The upcoming months are an opportunity to deepen our understanding of how life is asking us to evolve and consolidate those changes that have already occurred in both our inner and outer reality, right? Pluto is also going retrograde in Aquarius, right? Aquarius represents 11 as it is the 11th zodiac. Ones represent new beginnings. This is encouraging a new future, right? Aquarius is a fixed air sign. It governs the future, networks, technology, science, and social movements, as well as the tension between our need to belong and fit in and our urge to be unapologetic and unique in our self expression, right? So, a lot of frequency or a lot of energy surrounding your personal identity and what authenticity truly looks like for you, right? This energy will provide a chance to confront our resistance to change, our fear of standing out from the crowd, and the unconscious ways we may be controlled and limited by social standards or by a reactive need to rebel against them, right? So this is definitely going to challenge you and encourage you to think about what ways have you been resisting change by simply existing in a space of ego, right? Wanting to be seen a certain way, wanting to be perceived a certain way, right? Or have you been, it's also going to bring you into a space of acknowledging your emotions, right? What have you been repressing? What have you been suppressing, right? And what is it that is really being asked of you to truly live in your authenticity, truly, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, right? You have to be in alignment in totality in order to bring your manifestations into a reality, right? So let's pull some cards to see what messages come out. What messages do you have for the collective at this time? Help me to articulate a clear, concise message in order for it to be received in the way that you want it to best be received. Help me to see what it is that I need to see to get the message across as clear as possible. And help me to deliver any messages that you deem worthy in order to serve your highest good and the highest good of humanity with harm to none. Also, be mindful to look at your personal astrological chart to see where Pluto lies in your personal chart to see how it will affect you directly, right? See what house Pluto is in your chart so that you will know which space of your life it's affecting you directly. This is just a general message, right? So I'm giving you the general energy of how these changes are coming in and how they're taking place. But if you want to know deeply how this resonates for you personally, feel free to book a personal reading, or you can do the following suggestion and look at which house Pluto lies in your personal astrological chart. again, to see how this will affect you. Because sometimes you have it in many different places, or you can not have it in your chart at all, right? But it will still affect you just because that's just the general space, right? Cool. Quarrelsome, right? This is the resistance. This is the change. Immediately, transformation and change is coming out. Right? This is the phoenix um, desiring to emerge from the underground realm. Right? Also, 10, renewal, the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. Very strong energies that are present right now. Committed. Mm-hmm. Too many. Too many. One more. I don't want to make this too long because I do have somewhere to be soon. But I definitely wanted to get this out to you guys because this is a massive change is happening. Very big energy is happening at this place. Like, even though Pluto is a small planet and most people don't even recognize it as a planet, but energy is so powerful that it's kind of hard not to acknowledge it, right? Because it carries such a powerful energy. The goddess. So, and this is one of the cards that came out when I put it back in the deck. This is almost like you, again, this is like identity, solar plexus energy. I did say that I was going to do those um, chakra blockage readings. Give me some grace, guys. I got a lot of things going on right now. I'm trying to fit it in when I can, right? I know that we're experiencing a lot of major energies right now. But this is definitely speaking of you stepping into your full power, right? What is it that you have been blocking? What boundaries have you placed in front of yourself that are preventing you from stepping into your full power, right? Whether you're a god, a goddess, emperor, empress, high priestess, hierophant, right? Whatever space you're being asked to step into. It's almost as if this energy is asking you to again acknowledge what it is that you are committing yourself to. Are you committing yourself to the image that you are portraying? Are you committing yourself to how you want to be perceived? Or are you committing to really existing in the reality of who it is that you are, right? Not having to put on um, for people, places, things, environments, right? But truly existing in oneself in all spaces, in all areas, in all aspects, in all ways, right? Not having to feel like you have to um, hide your mind or hide your thoughts, right? Or really shift your mental just to kind of fit in somewhere, right? Not really feeling like you have to suppress your emotions to feel like you have to appear a certain way, right? Again, this is about you going in to do some reflection on how it is you're showing up as opposed to who it is that you truly are, right? Because that is what is creating a sense of resistance. That is what is creating this conflict, right? What are you committing yourself to? Are you committing yourself to all that it is that you can be, you and your fullest potential, right? Clarify quarrelsome. Because essentially the frequency that you commit yourself to internally is what will manifest again in your physical reality, whether you're doing that intentionally or unintentionally, right? So if you present yourself as a masked being, everything around you will cause confusion, right? Because you're not living in the truth of clarity, right? Internally. So again, if you are creating confusion internally within yourself, then that subconsciously will manifest in your reality, whether you are choosing to do that or not. That is how frequency naturally aligns in our reality, right? Really study physics to understand. Look, the wheel of fortune. You cannot make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. With the goddess of swords, living in your truth of who you are. That is that is uh what is the word I'm looking for? That is directly aligned to the reality that you create. Five of Swords, which is confusion, it's self sabotage, it's creating a place of um, not having clarity, right? Almost like I'm getting the space of like swallowing your truth, right? When you swallow your truth, again, you align yourself with um, that sense of confusion or illusion in your physical reality. And then later on, as time goes on, you start to really ask yourself, who am I? What space am I living in, right? Is this truly an environment that I find comfort in? Or is this just an environment that I continue to place myself in because I have worn this mask on for so long that I feel comfortable here, even though spiritually I feel unsettled in this space, right? This can relate to your career, this can relate to your personal relationships, this can relate to your passions, your hobbies, right? Or just who you are as a person, right? This is a general message, so take it how it resonates. But this is really, this energy is really going to challenge you to remove that mask, right? And to transmute that energy into a space of um, putting your intentionally putting yourself in a place of being uncomfortable so that you provide yourself the space to grow. Right? I hope that makes sense, right? Because when we remain in this space of comfortability, which is like kind of like that cloak energy, right? If you look at this card here, right? She's kind of covered, right? But I'm like sensing like the hermit energy where she's like more so cloaked, right? If you um, remain too comfortable in that cloaked energy where you don't want to be seen for who it is that you truly are, then again, nobody is going to really know you for you, right? And again, that in a sense will cause an issue within you internally because it causes a confusion of what you're presenting as opposed to who it is that you truly are, right? Clarify. Actually, I'm gonna clarify the wheel. Clarify the wheel. The world, right? The shadow. What cycles and habits are we repeating? The devil is Pluto energy, it's Scorpio energy, right? It is the hidden realm, the underworld, right? It speaks to our fears, it speaks to our traumas, it speaks to those experiences that we relive mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, right, within our own world, as opposed to releasing them and letting them go externally, right? It speaks to the things that we hold on to out of shame, right? So again, what cycles are you committing to, right? Pluto is really going to challenge you to do some inner self-reflection onto what habits are you holding on to, right? Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, that are no longer um, a safe space of existing in, right? Because it's almost as if again you're hiding in the shadows, right? Pluto is going to encourage you to kind of bring those aspects out of the shadows, right? Bring them into a new world, right? Remember, we're going into Aquarius, which is making things anew, 11, new beginnings, right? New futures, new fortunes, new beginnings, right? New starts, new ideas, new ways of thinking, right? New ways of experiencing, new ways of perceiving, right? And so this energy is really again going to, it's like an excavation energy, right? Where you are um, kind of digging a hole, removing out those things that are no longer healthy, right? Removing out those habits, removing out those connections, those relationships, those bonds, those unions, right? Removing yourself from those environments, right? Removing yourself from those ties, whatever they are, right? Whatever it is that you're spiritually tied to, that are connected to your fears, your shame, right? Your bad habits, right? You are really being asked to remove those things from your space of being to incorporate a healthier way of existing, right? Clarify committed. Hmm. Change is here. Clarify committed. Change is very present in this space, right? And you're definitely being asked to no longer resist this space of um, change, right? Because you got the Eight of Swords and the Four of Swords, but they both came out in the reverse. So again, the Page of Wands, ooh, the Two of Cups underneath, and the Temperance with the Emperor. Look at it, it's coming out. The Empress, the Eight of Wands, and the Emperor. Remember? Mm. With the Judgment and the Tower, it just keeps coming. Look how many major arcana are coming out at one time. This is a massive energy. The Fool, the Sun, the Tower, Judgment, the Emperor, the Eight of Wands, the Empress, right? Temperance, Two of Cups, and the Page of Wands. All of this major arcana, with the exception of the Eight of Wands and the Page of Wands, right? The Two of Cups is not um, a major arcana card, but it is a high vibrational frequency. So I sometimes consider it that, especially with all of these other major arcana here as well. But let me see if I can break this down in a timely manner, right? Because this is definitely bringing a reconstruction of how you exist, right? It's how you show up in the world, right? So again, this is you being called to no longer play it small, right? You've been playing it small for far too long. The Emperor, the Eight of Wands, and the Empress here, there is something that has been causing a disconnect from you and something that you are meant to align with, right? Again, because you have been playing it small, because you have been taking too many risks in this energy of exploration or in this energy of wanderlust, if that makes sense, right? Not necessarily exploration, but like wanderlust and carefree. You have been taking too many unintentional movements or making too many unintentional decisions as it relates to this wanderlust energy, right? Whereas it is causing you a place of confusion, right? Even though you have a clear sense of direction spiritually, the actions that you have been making in your physical reality have not been aligned with who it is that you truly are um, in the spiritual realm, if that makes sense. Right? You've been playing it too small. Here you show up as the Emperor, Empress energy, right? Remember, I said goddess energy, your fullest, highest potential. Whereas you may have kind of been dabbling in king or queen energy or knight energy, right? Or it's almost as if like how can I put this into words? If you were an empress, goddess, high priestess, hierophant, right, any of those energies, if you are, if that is how your spiritual, like if that is how old your spirit really is, and you have been making decisions that make you present as a knight, right, that is causing a disalignment in your reality, right? Therefore, it is blocking your manifestations from coming in because you are not truly aligned with your identity, right? You're not truly showing up in the true authenticity in which you are existing in, right? You're cloaked, right? You're making impulsive decisions. You're moving without pure intention, right? You are doing things that kind of fulfill your flesh and not feed your spirit, right? You're feeding cravings and not necessarily feeding your spirit, right? Those are things that will misalign you from your soul's true purpose, right? And so this tower is here because it is breaking down everything that does not truly align with your purpose, right? It does not. It is breaking down every foundation that does not align with the clarity in which you know you are. Meant to align yourself with, right? Again, this is alchemy energy, right? You are supposed to use that page, that knight, and that king energy to as stepping stones to help you um, align yourself in this emperor energy, right? Does that make sense? You are not supposed to exist in those realities just because you have those qualities, right? Those are only stepping stones. Those were not, once you reach a certain status, you cannot retract and go back to a certain way of being, right? So again, that is Pluto going into retrograde, retraction, right? Creating that resistance, right? It is backtracking. Once you reach a certain status, you or like the simplest way I can put it is once you know something, you can't unknow it, right? So once you know that you are goddess high priestess, you cannot exist in a reality that does not help you to fulfill that fullest potential, right? Because then that creates a misalignment in your reality. It creates a misalignment in your purpose, and it causes massive tower moments, right? Because now you are not fulfilling your purpose. You're not aligning yourself to the things that you are truly meant to come into union with, right? Whether that is, again, a passion project, whether that is a certain career, whether that is a certain environment you're supposed to place yourself in, right? As it relates to where you live, right? Or, again, the places that you just the environment that you place yourself in general, right? Whether that is the relationships that you connect yourself with, the community, how you engage with the community, right? Once you are aware of your purpose, it is your duty, it is your responsibility as an emperor, empress, high priestess, hierophant. It is your responsibility, judgment. God has placed a calling, an anointing over your life to fulfill a certain responsibility. And not fulfilling that responsibility is only going to bring you tower after tower after tower after tower because you are aware. You have the knowing, you have the enlightenment, right? Of how to alchemize that energy to your fullest potential to receive everything that you are meant to receive, right? To create everything that you are meant to create, right? You're not placed in these positions just to kind of exist in that space, right? So again, this energy here is telling you to come out of that space of rest, come out of that space of overthinking, right? You are no longer um, you are no longer in a position where you are being given the grace to overthink anything, right? This is the energy of the universe, God, source, the most high, really putting the gavel down and saying it's time to move, right? And if you don't move, then you're going to receive tower after tower, right? Because again, you have the enlightenment, you have the awareness of which direction that you're supposed to be moving in, right? You know what your purpose is, you know what your responsibility and your duty is to fulfill, right? You have the message, right? That means now that you have the message, now that you have the purpose, you have the awareness, it's time to create, right? It's time to transmute so that you can bring yourself into union with the things in which are you are meant to create in this lifetime, right? It's time to alchemize the things that you have learned, all of the knowledge that you have accrued over time, all of the resources that you have gained, right? All of that space that God has given you, all of that grace that God has given you, and that forgiveness that He's placed upon you, that anointing, those blessings that He's given you time after time after time, that protection that you've been receiving to achieve this status, it's time to put that into action, right? And now I feel like, because now I feel like the message is getting so serious. So this right now is telling me that God is not pleased, right? It's almost as if like um, it's giving, how can I put it into words? Conviction, for lack of a better word, right? It's time to move. I don't want to hear any more excuses, right? I don't want to give you, you don't need any more time to think. You don't need any more time to reflect on what it is that you're supposed to be doing because you know, right? You have that sense of enlightenment. I have given you the purpose. I have given you the pathway. I have given you the resources, and I have put you in that position. It's time to move and lessen that distance within who you are existing in now and the potential that you are meant to fulfill, right? It's time to align yourself with the purpose that you're meant to fulfill, right? All that pitter patter you are doing, right? I hate to be, I'm not even going to say that. I'm not going to say that word. I was getting ready to get real vulgar. But I'm going to refrain from speaking too vulgar in this on this channel. But all that, um, I don't know how else to put it into words. Let me try to find a new phrase. You've been kind of tiptoeing, you've been kind of dancing around your purpose, around your future, right? Again, you've been making excuses. You've been trying to think of many reasons as to why this is not something that you feel that you should be doing, right? And God is saying, I'm tired of the excuses. I have given you everything that you need. I have shown you all that you are. I have shown you all of the potential in which you have to achieve, right? And not only have I shown you that through vision, I have shown you that through the distance in which I have brought you from where you have been, right? You have physical evidence of the growth in which God has the ability to take you, right? You have physical evidence of the transformation that God can give you, right? Through the pathways in which He can take you, right? As it relates to your purpose, as it relates to your responsibilities, right? To whom much is given, much is expected, right? And God is saying it's time to pay, right? Because I have been protecting you, I have been providing you with the resources, I have given you the time to think, I have given you the space to grow, right? Now it's time to move, right? Because at this point now, I feel like you're wasting my time, right? Now I feel like you're playing me, right? Because it's almost as if like you taking too long to step into this power is almost like you're showing God a sense of doubt, right? That you are not ready to move, even though He has given you everything that you needed to move, right? And it's giving agitation, it's giving irritation, it's giving I'm getting ready to strip you of everything that I have given you if you don't move quickly. The Eight of Wands comes out of different. It's like a shooting star, right? It comes very quickly, right, from a very far distance, which is almost reminiscent of how far God has brought you, right? You have went a very far distance from where you have been to where you are now in a very short amount of time, right? It may not feel like a short amount of time for you because you have had to deal with certain things, you have had to learn certain lessons, and you have had to grow from certain areas, and you have had to transform your mind and your emotions and your spaces and your relationships, and you have had to let go and release things that you didn't really want to let go of, right? You feel like you have been stripped of everything that made you feel comfortable, but God said, I'm trying to put you into a place of real comfort, and you are not moving, right? You're not taking advantage of the resources and the blessings and the anointing that I have placed over your life. And again, with to whom much is given, much is expected. And God is expecting you to show up in to fulfill that responsibility in which you're meant to create, right? Very heavy message. Prayer Father Goddess, the chariot. This is move, right? Very quickly. The chariot is also major arcana. It is a very fast-paced energy. It is positive affirmation. It is, and look, death and rebirth, right? Transformation. This is Pluto, right? Showing up right on the table, right on the spread. It is time to move. It is time to make the change, right? Because if you don't grow, you're going to die with everything that you are holding on to, right? Not physically, but your dreams, your desires, your passions, your purpose, right? If you don't take that leap to step into your full potential, then everything after that is going to start to wither away, right? Think of a plant, right? When the fruit blooms and it's time to harvest, if you don't pick that fruit when it's ripe, what happens to it? It starts to rot, right? You don't have much time to pick the fruit when it becomes ripe, right? You have to pick it at that very moment, because if you don't, it starts to decline at a very fast pace, right? And one rotten fruit will spoil the whole tree. So again, the tree, right? With the Ten of Swords, your responsibility, right? And look who showed up at the bottom, the Hierophant. You have a responsibility, a duty to lead others on the path to success, right? Or to lead others on a path of purpose, right? Whatever your purpose is, you have a very high calling, right? Whatever your purpose is, it comes with, again, a lot of responsibility, right? And so, again, think about if the teacher didn't show up to the classroom. There would just be pure chaos in the classroom. The students wouldn't learn anything, they wouldn't gain anything, they wouldn't have any structure, there would not be, it just would be pure pandemonium, right? And that is God telling you, it is time to show up, come out of the shadows, right? It is time to face your fears, right? Face those harsh thoughts, face those traumatic events, right? Face those emotions that you have been suppressing and bring them to the forefront so that you can step into your purpose. Because if you wait too long, you're going to lose everything that you have earned up to this point. The Hermit, I called this earlier. Spiritually, you know which dark, and look, it's clarifying the goddess. Again, you know what your purpose in this life is. You know which direction you're supposed to be taking, right? You know what moves you're supposed to be making. You know what you need to let go of, and you know what you need to hold on to embrace, right? You know what thought patterns, or what habits, or what traumas, or what learned behaviors you need to let go of. You also know what emotions that you have been holding on to that you need to release, right? It's time to let some things go. Your inner compass is guiding you in the right direction. And if you choose not to follow it, that is on you. But outside of that, if you choose to go in a direction that exists outside of the hedge of protection that God has promised you, then what happens to you outside of that is solely on you, right? Because again, God is guiding you through that hedge of protection, right? He is showing you what path to take to remain protected, right? He is showing you what path and what journey to take and what steps to make and what decisions to make to remain in that space of anointing that you are continuously blessed, right? But again, God will take his hands off of anything that is not of him. So if you choose to move in a situation, right? If you choose to take a path that does not represent God, then he is going to take his hands off of it, right? So definitely be mindful of what it is that you are holding on to, right? The Four of Pentacles. What are you holding on to? What are you? What are you? What is keeping you in this space of resistance from moving forward in the place that God is trying to push you to, right? Because again, you have a very high calling over your life. And if you do not step into that calling, you will be removed from your seat. All right, so let's pull 4 cards to close this message out because I did not mean for it to be too long, but clearly there was a very strong message in there that needed to come out. One card for what we can learn as a major lesson surrounding this message. One card for the opportunities we can create surrounding this message. One card for what we can meditate on as the focus of this message. And one card for the new cycles and habits we can innovate to contribute to our growth and expansion surrounding this message. Right? Very heavy energy. It's not giving pressure, but it's giving move now or forever hold your peace. Or speak now or forever hold your peace. Right? Pick the fruit now before you spoil the whole tree. I don't know how else to say that. It's time to move. God is not supporting this Eight of Swords energy. He's not supporting the space of overthinking, coming up with multiple scenarios of what could, how could, shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? What if, who, where, when, why, how, right? It's time to come out of that space. You cannot commit yourself to that space of overthinking. You cannot commit yourself to that space of rest, right? It is time to move, right? You have healed, you have learned, you have seen, you have perceived, right? And now it's time to put everything that you have learned into action, right? The time is now. One card for what we can learn as a major lesson: storms with shame, right? Again, hiding in the shadows, you're only going to create more chaos, right? That's the lesson here. If you continue to hide in your shame, if you continue to hide in the things that you feel that you experience that cause you so much distress and it cause you so much, oh, victim, woe is me. If you continue to exist in that space, you're only going to create more chaos in the life in which you are trying to create, right? It's not going to bring your manifestation. It's going to create something that you have been trying to remove yourself from, right? It's time to move. One card for the opportunities you can create surrounding this message: speak up with feeling safe, right? Again, so acknowledging those areas, right? Using, stepping into your responsibility with confidence, right? Stepping into your purpose with confidence, right? Stepping into your purpose with clarity, right? Stop creating confusion in your own self by overthinking, by um, sitting and wasting and withering away, right? Because again, existing in that space of overthinking is only going to create more chaos, right? And if you create more chaos, you're going to waste more time. And if you waste more time, life is going to pass you by. And if you miss that train, it's not going to come back to get you, right? You miss your opportunity, right? Do not miss this window of opportunity. You only get one chance to take this leap of faith, right? And if you miss this train coming up, that is what it is, right? And what are you going to do? You're going to fall back into that place of chaos. You're going to fall back into that place of confusion, the very place that you have been working so hard to get out of. Do not let your fears overtake your faith, right? Very strong message here. One card for what we can meditate on as the focus of this message: brazen. This is your confidence with betrayal, with celestial alignment. Exactly what I just said. Do not let the things that you have experienced in your past block you from the blessings in which you're trying to align yourself with, right? You have to overcome those things with confidence. You have to know that God has been protecting you for this far, right? He placed you in those situations so that you could learn the lesson and move on. He did not place you in those situations so that you could hold on to that pain and hurt. There was a lesson you were supposed to get out of it, and you're supposed to let go of everything else that did not add value to your life. So again, everything that you have experienced in your past that is causing you shame, is causing you hurt, is causing you pain, is holding you to those addictions, is holding on, is keeping you tied to those bad habits, is keeping you tied to those negative thought patterns, it's keeping you tied to those generational traumas, right? Everything that you have experienced that is keeping you tied to everything that was meant to teach you a lesson that is not adding value to your life, it's time to let it go. Because that holding on to those things are not going to align you to your future and the things in which you are truly meant to receive. 4 and 1, that's 5, right? It's time to change. It's time to move. It's time to exist in the things that you are meant to be aligned with, right? The Emperor, the Empress, the Eight of Wands. It's time to align yourself with the things in which you are meant to create, right? Not the things that were meant to shape you, right? Again, not the things that were meant to teach you how to protect yourself, right? Those you experience certain things because they were meant to make you more aware. They were meant to widen your perspective. They were meant to teach you how to protect yourself, right? They were meant to teach you how to care for yourself, right? They were meant to teach you how to open your mind outside of what it is that you can see physically, right? That you are able to hear differently. You're able to feel differently. You're able to experience differently, right? You weren't meant to hold on to those experiences to make yourself small. You were meant to gain those experiences to make yourself bigger, right? And if you are keeping yourself in this energy of small, then again, you are going to miss the train, my guy. One card for what we can innovate to contribute to our growth and expansion. Wounded healer with pleasure. Literally what I just said. Guys, I don't know what else to say. It's time to put up or shut up. God is not pleased and he is not playing. That is the message that I have for you guys. I hope that it resonates. I know that if you made it to the end of this video, you have found something in it that is worthy and valuable to you. Please do not forget to hit that like button, comment, subscribe. If you need any more clarification on how this resonates for you personally, or if you would like to receive any more clarification on how the Pluto transit or how the planetary transits are affecting you personally, you know where to reach me. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Bye.